Hey there Facebook, it is Vanessa here again, your motivational speaker, trainer and head coach from Live, Love, Give. And today I've got a message for you guys all around how you handle criticism. And I personally get a bit of criticism fairly regularly, and that's why I wanted to talk to you about it, because I think it's less about getting criticism and more about our relationship with criticism in terms of finding value. And the question that I've got for you guys today is whether, do you let the judgment of your perception of what their intention is, the person who's dishing out this criticism, do you let that get in the way of the actual value that's being provided to you in that judgment that somebody is sharing with you? And it is a question that I think most of us need to really ask ourselves and answer, honestly, because we get so trapped when we get really thrown off by criticism. Every single person walking the face of the planet has an opinion, has a judgment that's very subjective to who they are, and we're included in all of those people and all of those judgments. And at the end of the day, I like to think about any sort of criticism or judgment, doesn't matter what the intention is, where's the value? And just yesterday, I had an incredible friend of mine call me out, and it was awesome. So this friend of mine, and this is the dynamic that we've created, which I'm super, super proud of. I absolutely love that we can definitely be totally transparent and open and honest with one another, and we get beyond the niceties, because at the end of the day, those niceties, you don't want to upset them, or you don't want to say the wrong thing, but you're seeing this kind of blind spot, but you kind of hold back and you just tell them what they want to hear rather than maybe something that they need to hear. That is absolutely not love. That's coming from fear, and it's detrimental to our connection. But this beautiful friend of mine, called me up and called me out, in something that he believed, I really wasn't believing in myself, and I needed to step it up and play a bigger game in a certain area. And whenever somebody calls you out like that, it's kind of connects you back to your truth, because you know it better than anybody else could know it when you're not playing your highest priority game. And and sometimes we just need to be woken up to the fact that that's currently occurring with us. And it's kind of like that installation of belief from an outside source when we've kind of let the flame dwindle in a way. And so I'm super grateful that I have that kind of connection in my life for somebody to be able to call me out. On the flip side of that, I just recently, I woke up this morning, I got some comments, and they were critical comments, and what's great about it? I think that every time we get a piece of criticism, whether it's valid or not valid, there's always some sort of value that we can get from it. Instead of getting caught up in this person's intention, why would somebody say something like that that's hurtful, or that could be potentially hurtful? Why would they even bother, or whatever? I don't go there anymore. And the reason why I look at criticism in the way of, where's the value here? And I take this external perspective. I'm not taking it personally, because I actually realize that a lot of people have a lot of stuff going on in their lives, and they can have their opinion. I'm more curious as to how they got to that perspective, why they think that's why they came to that sort of conclusion, and where they're choosing to focus, and how I can gain value from that. So I gain value from feedback in my external world because I am trying to be of value to people, and I value what you guys are seeing, sharing your perspective. And no matter whether that's going to be critical or great, I don't care. I'm more interested in how can I use this to see through the eyes of the outside world and gain value from that, so that I can tweak it and adjust it, so that I'm never going to go against my truth. Who I am is who I am. I don't, there's a lot of criticism that, about my appearance or what I wear or things like that. I couldn't give two anythings about it because that's who I am. And I love being who I am, right? But if it's something that, if I'm sharing a perspective it comes out across this way that I absolutely didn't intend, I want to hear about that, because that is really valuable to me in terms of, how am I portraying a message of value? If it's not reaching people, I need to be open to that. And definitely, there are going to be people in our lives, we've all experienced it, when somebody's dished out some form of criticism that has been harsh and critical, and their intention has probably been to bring you down in that moment. And we could get into all the details as to why they've got that intention and how they're not feeling good and they're trying to bring somebody else down so they can build themselves up or whatever. But if we get caught up in the intention, even if we can clearly see that the intention's not really smart or great, we miss the value that any sort of criticism can give us. And even if their words of criticism are not valuable and they're not shining light on anything new or whatever, it's just their opinion, it's the value of how we handle the external criticism of who we are. And I like to really hone in on this. So I know personally that, though, because I've lived a very inauthentic life before I started personal development, I didn't even know who I was, and I was just trying to be whoever I thought would get the approval and the connection and all of that stuff. And when you're doing that in an unconscious state, you're kind of living a nightmare and you don't even know it. And we've all been there because we've all had to grow and evolve and get to know more about who we are. But when you are in that state and you don't know who you are, and you're so hyper focused on being somebody that people will approve of, then you are super, super sensitive to criticism. Really sensitive. It's like you are a big open wound, and the slightest touch could totally trigger you and throw you off course. But the value that comes from people criticizing you, and I like to think about them as the universe kind of sending you these kind of little tests. Hey, are you being authentic? Because the more authentically you are, the more accepting and loving and, in alignment with your truth you are. And only you know whether you're in alignment or not. Nobody else can judge that. But ultimately, the more you know that you're in alignment, the more you don't get thrown off by other people's opinions and judgments in the external world. You actually see more of it as a mirror into who they are, and I'm not saying that if you dish out poor criticism, you're a bad person. I don't think that at all. I think that we're living our subjective experiences and lives, and I'm more interested in finding out about that person than I am about, what they think of me if I'm in total alignment with the truth of who I am. If I'm not, it wakes me up. If I feel like, horrible by that criticism, it alerts me to, wow, where am I out of alignment here? Where am I not being authentic? Where am I trying to be a certain way for others as opposed to be in alignment with the truth and wisdom of who I am? So it's a great mirror back to us. And when we are in alignment, we get to see into somebody else and oftentimes, be able to understand them better, work out. I find it fascinating and interesting to understand why people do what they do. So they give me an avenue of checking that out as well. And so I am absolutely hoping that me sharing a bit of what's been going on for me, I feel totally grateful actually that every single day without fail I get to connect with beautiful people from across the globe who are absolutely resonating with the work that I do, with who I am. And that absolutely is my driving force to know that I'm of in some way, adding tiny little pieces of value anywhere that I can. And when I get that sort of feedback, I am totally driven. It warms my heart. It reinforces to me that I'm on the right path, that I'm being me, that I'm doing the right things. And that is super, super inspiring to me. And when I get those, pieces of criticism, oftentimes they're kind of like, okay, well, that's not what I'm here for. I'm not really trying to get you to, like my dresses or like my appearance. I'm just being me, and this is what feels most me. I'm a very feminine sort of woman, who just likes the way that I dress up and do my makeup and all that sort of stuff. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. I don't care, because I'm actually here to deliver a message of value that is in the mind. It's in consciousness. It is in personal development. And so if you miss the message because you don't like the messenger, or you want to just focus on the criticism of the messenger, then that's, I'm not the right messenger for you. And that's okay. I'm not going to be all right for everybody, but the people that, know, like, and trust me, I can add value to. And that's what I'm here to do. So I'm hoping that sharing this is resonating with you guys. I hope that it will help you. The next time somebody dishes out some sort of criticism to you, use it for your advantage. Don't get stuck in, what's their intent here? That bad person, were they trying to help me, or they were trying to hinder me, or whatever? Don't get caught up in that. Find the value. And it's either in the words that they are delivering, maybe is shining some light on something that you're not seeing that's really helpful, or, if they're not really saying anything of much value and maybe their intention isn't so great, don't get caught up on that. Find the value piece, which is always, how am I responding to this? How am I reacting to this? Is it really throwing me off course? And if so, then where am I not really being authentic? Where am I not being truthful to myself? Where am I out of alignment here? How can I use this for my own personal growth and strength and ability to get outside of the taking things personally and actually into being using it as a test to see, am I in alignment, am I not, or how can I help and support this person? What's going on in their world? Get curious, get open-minded, understand people better. That's what I use it for. And definitely want to check in with you guys now and see if this has been valuable to you. I'd love to hear from you if you've got any questions or comments or any stories of, criticism or how you handle criticism. Any words of wisdom or inspiration for all of us out here. Who, if you've got some good experience in terms of how you deal with it, how you handle it, how you utilize the value of criticism for your personal growth. And before I jump into the chat roll and check out who's here, please say hi. I'd love to connect. But yeah, I definitely want to make sure that none of you guys are slipping through the cracks in terms of getting into the Limitless Potential Inner Circle Facebook community. Beautiful like minds who are totally dedicated to their personal growth and development. They're looking to grow and they're looking to contribute. They want to make their life matter and mean something, and they'd love to contribute to your life too in terms of helping you to get to your next level of your potential. So if that sounds good to you and you'd like some more like minds, definitely click on the link above, request to join, and I shall approve you into that community. Can't wait to go deeper with you in there. And now I get my favorite part. I get to connect with you guys. So I have got Liam and Alan and Benito. I'm loving that you're liking today's subject. And Jolene and Jeremy and Sam's here, and Spady and Tracy and Filippo and Gerardo and Howard and Vicky. Awesome. Sam, I hope my comment wasn't critical. Oh, I don't know what it was, but I don't think so, Sam. And you know what? I am so open-minded in terms of criticism. And actually, I was just writing about this, about how I really do believe that love is not just the giving and receiving of support. Love, real love and depth and connection and relationship is about the giving and receiving of challenge. You can term it whatever you want. You can term it criticism, but criticism doesn't have to be a negative thing. In fact, if in my relationships, we cannot create an environment of safety where we can both give and receive challenge or criticism to be able to shine light on each other's blind spots from a place of positive intent, of love, of adoration, of, hey, I see your potential. Don't let yourself down. I'm really feeling like you might be missing the point here, or you might be holding yourself back here, and hey, come on, like, I'm your biggest cheerleader. That's the kind of dynamic that I want all of us to be able to create in our relationships. And if it's just one-sided, if you do not feel safe enough to express what you feel is a blind spot, for another person that you care about, and you can't handle hearing anything that's negative, you always have to have support and positivity, then you're doing yourself, the other person, and the relationship a complete disservice to get to the depth of connection that we're all capable of and that ultimately we all yearn for. And if you can't handle the criticism, then there's something out of alignment with you operating with the truth of who you are. And so that's the journey that you need to go on. And when you get to that point of authenticity, yeah, there's going to always be things that people can say that you don't really feel great, but do you get caught up on that? Or do you find the value in the message or in your response to the message and use it for your personal growth and development? So Sam, I do not mind if you have any criticism. I would love to hear it. If you feel it's of value, if you feel like it can support me, if it's coming from a loving, intentional place, and you guys can see that I'm missing something, that there's some sort of blind spot, that to me is giving love. That to me is helping other people expand, and I think that it's beautiful. And I've come from a place where I was always telling people what they wanted to hear, not what they needed to hear. And I know where that leads to. It leads to surface level connections where we're always walking on eggshells and we're not being wholly true and authentic, and that stifles the depth. And I'm not willing to have that in my life, and I hope you guys have that standard as well. We need both the challenge and the support in order to get to the depths that we're all capable of and expand to the highest levels possible. That is one of the greatest gifts that we give to each other as human beings, is the ability to see the blind spots, call them out lovingly with great intention, and if you can create that kind of dynamic, you are absolutely winning the game of relationships. So thank you, Sam, and Superman, love seeing you, and Heinz, thank you, and Stephen and Dustin, and Sam, I love your authenticity and vulnerability. Thank you so much. I appreciate that because they are absolutely two of my highest values, to be authentic, and I really think that the greatest human strength is vulnerability, from a place of strength. Vulnerability, sharing the truth of who you are. So I love that, Sam. That's a beautiful compliment. Thank you. And Steve, hey, I sent you a message. If you would be able to have a discussion about the topic when you're able to, it would be much appreciated. As always, love your energy and point of view. Thank you. Thank you, Steve. I hope that that's just happened. I'll check my inbox, and I can't wait to see what that topic is all about, and I'd love to deliver a message for you. So super appreciated, and I'm so grateful that you're finding value here. Steve, thanks for being here. And Gabe's here, and Liam. Developing an internal critical voice of the one that you value the most. Massive valuable source, so powerful that it can stop the wrong action from taking place. Absolutely, Liam. And yeah, definitely. We've all got an inner critic, but don't let the voice of the inner critic outweigh the voice of your internal wisdom and truth. We need to have both sides. We need to be able to see our own, kind of call ourselves out at times. We need to be having those two parts of us work in conjunction. We need that kind of inner critic, but not at the expense of our inner truth and our inner guide there. So they kind of are both those guiding forces that absolutely add massive value. And sometimes those voices on the external world can kind of shine a light that those internal voices can't necessarily see. And so that's valuable too. But definitely I'm always talking about, raising the voices on the internal and turning down the voices on the external in order to make sure that you are in alignment with the truth of who you are and not some version of some person that you think you need to be in order to gain, to lessen the criticism in the external and gain the love and approval of others. You've always got to be truthful to who you are. So I love that, Liam. Thanks for being here. And Sam, that's true devotion showing up every day. Absolutely. And Marco, thank you so much for that kind compliment. I appreciate you being here. And Cheryl and Neil and Edwin, and much love to you, Justin, and Adam and Fazia and Ricardo. I'm loving that you loved it. And Tristan and Mia and Niljit and Jody and Ricardo. My mind is opening progressively after and after live. Oh, thank you. I'm super grateful to hear that. I love hearing that you guys are finding value in these messages. Thanks, Ricardo. And you're welcome, Patrick. And Ricardo, that barrier begins to break. Absolutely. The more authentic, the greatest force to break through those barriers that we put up, and those walls that we put up towards criticism and we can't handle it, is always your authenticity. The more authentic you are, the more you can see through the criticism, find the value, not get attached to the intention and taking things personally, and use it for your personal development and growth, and also sometimes help and support those people if, you know, they're kind of overreacting about something and you can tell that, hey, they need a bit of love here, you know, they're trapped in a lot of their own fears and insecurities and so forth, or not, you know, the choice is yours, but the end game is to find the value and not get caught up on the intent and taking things personally. And I've got Aaron's here, awesome, and Julie, and namaste to you, Aaron, and Ricardo. I know some concepts, but it was like I did not know. It is as if the mind really begins to connect with this little knowledge. I love hearing that, Ricardo. Thank you. And Scotty's here. Awesome. So guys, really that was my message. I hope that it gives you a new kind of, it challenges you to think about your relationship with criticism, and definitely finding the value in all criticism. You know, you're gonna get it no matter what, you know, and so we've got to be able to utilize it in terms of identifying where am I out of alignment here because I'm taking things so personally and it's a really touchy thing. Where do I need to grow here? What self-awareness am I missing? Or, you know, be able to take the value from that person sharing something about a blind spot of yours, or give them love because they may very well need it. And Kamal, hello to you. And Ricardo, I begin not to be afraid of this authentic me. Absolutely. You know, so many people are afraid to be all of who they are. That was definitely my story, you know. Probably for about 24, 25 years of my life was lived being too scared to show all of who I was because I didn't even know who I was, and I was definitely not aligned with that as well, you know. But the truth is, fear drops away to such an extent when you show up and you are authentic. So you need to go on that journey. Who are you? Who are you really? What do you value? What matters to you? What do you find inspiring? Without all these filters and masks and ways of being that you think you need to step into to gain the love and approval of others, that is, you know, only gaining love and approval for somebody that you are not, which therefore reinforces to yourself that you're not lovable for the authentic self. So you don't want to go down that path. I've done it for many, many years. And I'm telling you, there is nothing to be afraid of when you step forward and you are authentic. You trust yourself, you believe in yourself, you know you can handle any challenge, any criticism, any of that, and so there is absolutely nothing to be afraid of by stepping into your authentic self. I absolutely, that is what my work is to help encourage people to absolutely identify who the truth of them is and step fully into it so that they can actually start living life. You know, and that's why I love that you are getting that message, Ricardo, and I so appreciate you sharing that. And Carl's here, and Ricardo, fear or shame, yes, absolutely. And shame is that, you know, shame is that judgment and criticism coming from ourselves about our true nature, and we often get caught up in behavior rather than seeing our pure intent. You know, and so that's a big piece of shame. You know, we feel shameful for the ways that we've behaved, but we're missing what was driving that behavior of a less informed self. So that's a whole big concept in terms of diving into shame. But I definitely appreciate you sharing that, Ricardo. And Ricardo, I began to apply gratitude for what I have and for what I am. Beautiful. I absolutely love hearing that, Ricardo. Just such a great process of self-love is to find what you are grateful for about yourself. also what you're proud of yourself for, and definitely going on that journey and creating a habit and a ritual on a daily basis will work wonders in the long term in terms of identifying who you are and loving it and accepting all parts of who you are. So guys, that is absolutely it from me today, but I hope that this message has definitely resonated with you guys. It's been valuable to you. I am, as always, sending you all of my love, light, blessings, gratitude, energy, enthusiasm, everything extraordinary coming to you to wherever you are in the world today. I hope it's beautiful and amazing and absolutely not as hot as it is here in Melbourne today. It's going to touch nearly 40 degrees Celsius, which is super hot, and it's going to be doing that tomorrow as well. So last little comments here. Robert, thanks for joining. Hope you catch the recording and get a ton of value from today's message. And Ricardo, thanks again, and sorry for making... No, not at all, Ricardo. I so appreciate all of you guys who drop comments. That's what I'm here to do. It absolutely energizes me, particularly when you guys, ask me questions, because I love being put on the spot. And so never too many comments. Go for your life when we're on these lives. Marco, we feel ashamed when we do not listen to our true nature as human beings. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're super welcome, Marco. I so appreciate you being here. That is it, guys. I'm sending you all of my love, and I will see you all tomorrow. Can't wait. Make sure you definitely hit me up with any questions or any ideas for topics and concepts. Steve, I will check my inbox and see what you've come up with for an idea. Can't wait to help you with that. And definitely join the Limitless Potential Inner Circle Facebook community by clicking the link above. Can't wait to go deeper with you in that community. Much love, guys, and see you all tomorrow.